Good evening and welcome to another fantastic edition of the Celebrity Creator Show. Can't wait to get started. We have a terrific guest on. Very excited about this because of his background. It's very close to mine, although he exceeds mine in actually both categories, but he's like a brother to me. But before we go into that, I would like to introduce everyone. For those of you who may not know, this wonderful woman to my left, Kathy Stover. She's my business partner and very, very dear friend. But she's got a wealth of background and experience, and I'd like to quickly go over that so you understand what kind of woman you have before you at this very moment. She's got a lot of experience as an operations manager and sales manager for over 25 years with a Fortune 500 company. And to me, that impressed me enough by itself to say, hey, you want to be my business partner? But it got better. She's got network marketing experience dating back to the mid-'80s and affiliate marketing, which is all the rage right now. Since the early 90s. She was doing affiliate marketing before affiliate marketing was cool, and very well and very successful at it, as I might add. She's also an author, a speaker, a highly successful social media coach. Hit the contact us link above and be sure to contact us and get in touch with her that way to get some help in your social media marketing efforts. And she's also a power seller on eBay and a top-rated seller on eBay. She is a sales machine, a juggernaut, and I'm so proud and glad to have her as my business partner. You can't have her. Mrs. Kathy Stover. How are you doing tonight, Kathy?
Brian, I am doing absolutely wonderful, and you are always over the top when you introduce me. Thank you so much. But I want to tell everybody that may not know you at this point a little bit about you as well. And you were alluding to the fact of my eBay status, but I want to let everybody know that you're going to be capturing a title soon that will rival mine due to the fact that you have a huge website and Twitter account that you've got going for sale on eBay. So if anybody's interested in that, I just want to throw that out there. They can also contact you by the link, because let me tell you what, guys, he's giving away a 50,000 plus Twitter account with a website he's doing. So anyway, if you want to know more about that, do that. Click on the button above. But about my dear friend and business partner, Brian. Brian has been a software engineer for over 24 years. He was talking about affiliate marketing and what I've done for it. He may not have been doing it as long as I have, but I can tell you for the part that he has been involved in it, he has done exceedingly well. In addition to that, he owned a travel-based multi-level marketing company for 6.5 years. He puts together the beautiful things that you see around us, the celebrity creators, all the graphics, and he does our website and also runs our show for us. He does a phenomenal job. Very, I don't know, is it cool to say techie and geeky? I don't know, I guess so, but I still adore him. I'm going to use that term. But I, too, am so thankful to have you as my business partner and friend, Brian. And we are both totally jazzed about our special guest tonight. I'm going to turn it back over to you so you can do the introductions.
That was too over the top, and you kind of surprised me with that website thing. Thank you very much for mentioning that. I wouldn't have even thought of that. That was very nice. Thank you.
You bet.
For all of it. But let's move on. There's more, and it gets better, because it's not just Kathy and I. We have a terrific guest lined up, as you can all see his picture all around us here, as you're watching on celebritycreators.com. If you found us on Ustream, then pop on over, celebritycreators.com. This gentleman has quite an interesting story to tell and an incredible background, both in the realm of athletics and in the realm of, he's a smart guy. He's just incredibly bright. As a motivational keynote speaker, author, and peak performance coach and consultant, Forrest applies his experience as a 6-time U.S. national gold medalist, along with his 20 years experience of mindset coaching, to help corporations, associations, groups, and individuals just like you to reach the next level and to help you reach your peak performance. We're going to dive right into this one. Forrest Fisher, welcome to the show, my friend.
Oh, thank you, Brian. Thank you, Kathy. It's great to be on the show. Looking forward to this for a long time.
You know, we have too, and before we get started in the questions, I just kind of want to interject this. Brian and I actually met you slightly over a year ago, and it was actually at a similar event that we just all spent 4 days together with Craig Deswalt. And I've got to say this: I have never. It always amazes me when Brian and I go to events, the individuals that we come in contact with and meet. I can tell you, I would have never guessed in a million years that I would have the honor and pleasure of meeting somebody not only with just one gold medal, but 6 and all the other amazing medals that you've got displayed behind you. But anyway, with that being said, I'm going to start with our first question. And our audience might be wondering as well, what is a gold medal mindset?
Well, the idea, as you know, a lot of people are aware, watching the Olympics or a lot of other sports, that the gold medal's the pinnacle. That's the top of the podium. So the idea is, in my business, my coaching and speaking as a motivational speaker, I take the ideas that help me be successful as an athlete, particularly in the area of keeping positive outlook on life, keeping a positive mindset, and thinking about visualization and goal setting, all those things. And so I work with my clients on sharing those traits, because those are the same traits I found that make people successful in life or in business. So whether you want a more successful marriage, more successful relationship with your children, more successful in business, either as an employee or as an entrepreneur or business owner, I find it's the same traits are what comes across to make people successful as an athlete or in those other areas. And so the idea is I coach and help people with that process. And so that's kind of the short answer to your question there, Kathy.
All right, and let's go maybe perhaps dig a little deeper to a longer answer. You know, I like to kid around there for us. And feel free to expand as much as you like. We have all night. We're going to be here for 3 hours. No, I'm just kidding. It's a 1 hour show.
Okay, good.
But go for it. Why do you think, you personally, why do you think a gold medal mindset is so important? As you have described the gold medal mindset, now why is it so important?
Well, when we met, like Kathy said, when we met a year ago, I shared a little bit of my story with you, and that's kind of how we started connecting more along over the past year and building our relationship. And so I'll share a little bit about how I came across the development of the gold medal mindset as a philosophy and system. So I've been successful as an athlete on and off all my life, starting out in high school as successful as in my high school track team as one of the co-MVPs. So I'd had quite a bit of success in sports from an early age. And so then I got into water skiing. I got very competitive at it. Had the good fortune to win many, many medals. I actually don't know the count. I only keep track of the big gold medals. So I've had the good fortune of winning 6 U.S. national gold medal titles. But I went through a period where I was really miserable in a lot of areas in my life. I have a fabulous wife, and I hated my marriage. I have fabulous children. I hated spending time with them. I also had a job at the time before I became an entrepreneur, and I had a job that a lot of people would dream about working in the space industry at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and I was miserable there. And through a number of different events, we started doing a lot of personal development seminars, and through that I started doing a lot of reflection about my own life and came to realize that it became an experiment to begin with, and that experiment was, what if I tried the things that made me successful in sports in all areas of my life? And very rapidly I started finding that all those areas of my life improved dramatically. And so that is kind of the background or the backdrop to the story about how the philosophy was developed. And so then I went on and wanted to be able to share that philosophy with people. And so I decided to become a peak performance coach and a motivational speaker so I could share that experience with other people so that they can benefit from that experience. Now, going back to your question about how important or why is that so important? Well, we've often heard people talk about, probably starting as young children, we've often heard people talk about, you can do anything you set your mind to. Well, the opposite is unfortunately even more true and powerful, and that is, if you don't believe you can do something, you're almost guaranteed to not do it. I found very few people who believe they can't achieve something turn around and achieve that. Now, it's true, just because you believe you can do something isn't enough. It doesn't mean you're going to succeed, but that's the first step. You have to have that vision, you have to believe in it so that you can then pursue it. And so that's probably why I would say is the most important part about why you need to develop that sort of mindset of always thinking positive as much as possible. Sure, even myself, I have, moments where I lapse and have negative thoughts. But the key is the more you develop this mindset, the more quickly you become aware of those thoughts, and then you're able to turn them off, turn them around, and turn it into a positive situation. And in fact, one of the mentors I had at the time that really helped me in making that trigger point or that turning point where I needed to make this decision to reflect in on my life, said this quote, and that is, "Happiness is a choice." And there's also a similar Abraham Lincoln quote, and I'm just going to paraphrase it because I don't remember it exactly, but it goes something like this: "People are generally as happy as they choose to be." And so that just kind of captures the concept, going back hundreds of years, even to President Abraham Lincoln, that we need to choose a positive mindset. We need to take the decision to choose to be happy. And likewise, I think we need to choose to be successful.
I like that. And the thing about it is, we all go through periods of time where we kind of fall into the lull, and sometimes it's hard to pull out of that. And I'm not talking about days on end, and I'm sure that some people have that where it's days on end. For me, I know it's just like periods of time through the day sometimes, and just different things that occur or are interjected into my day can affect that. And it's not always that easy to do that, but I like how you're positioning that so that that we can understand it. But so one of the things that
actually, if I can interject real quick, Kathy,
yes,
when you were
please
saying,
do.
Yeah, when you were saying that, it made me think of something, and we haven't interacted a whole lot through email, but you've probably seen it on my Facebook page, my Facebook post, and I'd encourage all your listeners to connect with me on Facebook, and that's just facebook.com/Forrest Fisher. And that idea is I sign all my posts, "Have a gold medal day." And that concept, started out as an email. I used to sign my post, just "Have a great day." And the idea, sure, it was to share that idea with other people and encourage them to have a good day. But just the fact, well, actually, I'll step back a sec. For a brief time, I put that in my signature block. So for those of you who understand email signature blocks, that gets automatically added to the bottom of the email. Well, I quickly realized that I benefited from actually typing that on the bottom of every email. So I have a signature block, but I don't put that in my signature block. I hand type that into every email and hand type it into every Facebook post, because not only does it help, I think, the people receiving that, but it's a reminder to me on a daily basis with all the messages I send that I need to keep that gold medal mindset as well. And that helps me not fall into those momentary lulls.
Nice.
And if I do, it helps me get out of them quickly without even being, without even making a conscious effort to do so. It's just the fact that the next time I send a message, I'm going to remind myself subconsciously just by typing, "Have a gold medal day." And that just pulls that right back out and helps me maintain that positive attitude throughout the day, no matter what's going on.
What a great tip.
Beautiful. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's that kind of gets the wheels turning. I'm going to have to come up with some kind of catchy phrase, or maybe even changing it up. I really, really like how you do yours, and now I get it. But you're right. Every time you respond, even on Facebook, that's how you sign off. So I like that. Little triggers that kind of help us move, into the right mindset there.
And everybody's got to develop their own. And my wife, Rhonda Fisher, was a guest on your show a month back, and she signs her messages, "Live fabulously." And it's the same idea. It's both a reminder to the recipient and to her. So I just encourage people to find that real positive signature And even if you're writing an email about some negative situation, sign it that way, and it'll help you turn your life around.
I've never heard that tip before. That is really unique, original, and awesome. Can I use?
I haven't either.
I think I'm going to use something like maybe have a gold medal day. Is that one taken yet? No, just kidding.
There's
Sorry,
probably
that's
room
taken
for
away.
there's probably room for more than one of us to use it.
I'm just kidding. That's an awesome tip. Awesome.
I know, I like that. So, one of the things in kind of connecting with you and thinking about the whole medal thing, most people are aware of the fact that medals go from like bronze, silver to gold.
Yes.
So we have to go through kind of a succession of things to get each one, correct? So in your gold medal mindset program, do you transition from like bronze, silver to gold with your program, or do you just shoot for the gold and jump on the top of the podium? How does that work in with what you're doing?
Okay, so to some extent, the answer is actually both. And the idea is, so what I do is I work with my clients to set that goal. It's at the pinnacle, and that's what we aim for. But if your goal's high enough and you don't quite make it, you've still had a great success. So if we're aiming for the gold medal and that's the desired outcome and we don't quite get there, well, silver is a pretty darn good day. And even a bronze medal day is a pretty good day. So that's kind of where I get it at the fact that it's both. So we're not aiming for necessarily the progression of saying, okay, well, we're just going to aim for the bronze medal because what if you fall short? Now you're not on the podium. But
Right.
We can aim for the gold medal and still fall short and still have tremendous success in life or in business. So maybe you don't close the $10 million sale, but as a salesperson, you close an $8 million sale. Well, that's a pretty good sale. So that's
Indeed.
kind of how both play into it.
Excellent. Hey, you mentioned real quick Facebook. Folks don't actually have to type that in unless it makes them, feel better and happier, because it might. Typing in Forrest Fisher's name would lighten my day, brighten my day. But what you can also do, and don't do that right now, but you can look up above us. You'll see Forrest's picture. Be sure to click right on his nose. Yeah, there you go, right there, Forrest.
Okay.
Click on his nose, and I'll take you directly to his Facebook page where you can connect with him personally. And in addition to that, be sure to, again, not right now, wait till after the show, but there's a nice big old logo beneath us with Forrest Handsome mug on that. Click on that, and that'll take you to his website where you can opt in. You can look at his products. He has an upcoming book coming out, a plethora of programs. He's got a coaching program that you can get involved with, and you'll see why you want to do that before we finish with this show tonight. But be sure to soak all of that in and to click on Facebook, get connected with Forrest. Because we believe in connecting with this gentleman. We're connected, so you should be too. That's just all there is to it.
I appreciate that, Brian. There's several places on my website where people can opt in for different things, including free teleseminars. I have an ebook, some different things. So I encourage people both to visit me on Facebook and on my website. Thank you.
Absolutely, and we encourage the same. Now, getting to where we all get in our business lives, we go through some stumbling blocks, some ups, some downs. As long as that trend line of the business is always heading in the upward direction, there's a few peaks and valleys, but as long as we keep it set it high and it keeps aiming in that general direction, we're pretty happy. Now, based on that, would it be safe to assume that you, Forrest, have gone through some trial and error of your own to get the result, of the goal you set out to achieve? And if so, would you mind sharing what not to do for those who are watching?
Okay. What not to do? Okay, now I got to change gears a little. I try to always think in the positive of what to do. Okay, so yeah, like Kathy said in the introduction, I've had tremendous success. I've been very blessed to be able to win 6 times on the U.S. national stage, but there's also been lots of times where I've competed and have not won. So having that gold medal mindset does not necessarily mean you're going to win every time, but the idea is when you do stumble, you get back up and you keep going. And so getting a little off topic from your question, but it reminded me of something, and it was actually at a seminar similar to the one where we met originally, and where we just saw each other over the last weekend. And somebody had come up and talked to me after an event when I was up on stage speaking, and they came over and talked to me, and we were talking about the water skiing. They found out about my background. They said, "Man, you must be so good. I bet you never fall." And so I was sitting there thinking for a second, and it was pretty quick, but I came back with this notion. No, the truth is I fall more than all my competitors. I just get up more times than they do.
There you go.
And so I share, after having had that conversation, I share this in all my talks and share it with my coaching clients, that success is getting up more times than you fall down.
Love it.
And so I guess what not to do is not give up when you have struggles. Definitely don't lose sight of what the vision is. So I really encourage people to not just try and go through life and react to what happens, but to have a vision and a plan so you can respond to the situation. And so I'm making a subtle distinction between reaction on one hand and response on the other. And in my mind, the distinction is a response is a action that is consistent with your end goal and vision. It's not the knee-jerk reaction. And so often when we encounter stumbles, if we don't have that plan pre-thought out, and I'm not talking about trying to come up with contingency plans for every problem, but having a general vision that's clear in your mind so you know what direction you're going. So when those stumbling blocks do come up, you can make sensible decisions in a fairly quick fashion and get back on track. So biggest thing is don't react out of frustration and don't give up. And I guess that reminded me of one other thing. So the most important thing to success is getting started. And a lot of us do that. And a lot of people get started and then they don't finish. And so I think after getting started, the most important thing to success is a term I use with my with all my coaching clients, including the youth sports teams I coach, and that's finish strong.
Good.
Not only do we want to have a good first quarter, using a sports analogy again, we want to have a strong fourth quarter, and we want to finish the game strong. And same with business. Whether we're making sales calls or whether we're at a sales presentation or even just a networking event for entrepreneurs, you want to go into the meeting or the event upbeat and happy, and you want to come out energized and strong and happy. So you want to finish strong. So is that, yeah, go ahead, Kathy.
I was just going to say, very, very well put. And I love the analogy between the sports and tying it into relationships, just general life in general and business as well, because in all actuality, the connotations do match and marry together perfectly. And I think not being an athlete, I don't know, I mean, I do exercise. Does that count? Am I an athlete? Anyway, yes. But I think that just putting it in that way so that you can see it clearer and using that as a pattern for it, makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, it's a perfect fit. The analogies I could resonate with those, and I think anyone, even athlete or not, could. That was because the struggles are very similar with athleticism or competing events. Of course, they transpire over a much shorter duration of time most often, but as during an event. But if you're working toward an end goal that takes years, let's say you're training for, I don't know, the U.S. Nationals or something like that, it may take a bit longer before you reach that point. If I might, real quick, I hope you don't mind, Kathy, Forrest, could you just reach back and kind of give us a summary of what each of those medals represents?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. No, that'd be great. Yeah, they may be a little hard to see in the background.
Here, hold on a second.
Behind me, the backdrop is actually my U.S. team jacket from the Pan American Championships in November 2010, where I was honored to represent the U.S. national or the United States national team, and we went to Santiago, Chile, and competed. And so that's actually one of my most recent accomplishments. net. Well, I'm going to move away from the screen here and just point to these. The one
We
on
can
this
see
end, this is the U.S. I mean the U.S. team won the gold medal, so I was blessed to be part of that team victory. As an individual, I won the silver medal in Santiago, Chile.
When was that?
That was in November 2010, so that's pretty recent.
That's pretty. I wanted to make sure they heard that. That is incredible. Good job, man.
So I am still competing. So a lot of people say that, if you're working with a coach, don't find somebody who was doing it 50 years ago. You want to find somebody who's still doing it.
Nice.
And so I am still practicing what I preach, so to speak, still using these strategies and techniques every day, both in my business and in my training.
Awesome.
Next to that, the smallest one up there that's a little harder to see, that's the bronze medal from the World Championships in 2008 in Madrid, Spain. And then the 6 going across to the my left, well, to that side of those others, those are the 6 U.S. national gold medals that I use in my tagline. So
nice, and congratulations on all those achievements. And you said you had a lot of other medals, and I don't doubt it. I've seen you in person, as so is Kathy, and you're pretty darn fit for, I jokingly called you an old man earlier. You're younger than me, I'm sure, but you're an inspiration to continue to do what you do. And look at that, you're still getting the big accolades in the form of awards by achievement. So you are a product of the product, and you're a great example, and thank you for gracing us on our show for us. This is fantastic.
Thank you. Well, as you know, actually, over the weekend at the event, we were celebrating my birthday. So
yeah.
Sunday was my 43rd birthday.
Wow,
so,
no way.
You are younger than Brian.
You are. You young little whippersnapper.
No, I'm kidding.
I also have the good fortune of being older than I look. So
I don't think so.
You don't look old.
But I got to tell you, that hat.
I have to ask him.
That hat you wore at dinner was you, buddy. That was you. For those wondering, go check him out on Facebook. You'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the big sombrero. Look at my
it's huge.
My photo feed.
Oh yeah, from dinner, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh gosh. Well, I wanted to kind of move into the next question here. And by the way, thank you so much, Brian, for reminding us to have him share that, because that is absolutely phenomenal.
Huge accomplishment.
I mean, for the recent medals, but just everything that you have. Yeah. And I can tell you that just being around you in the times that we have, you're certainly a good steward for representing what it is that you've done for your sport. So, like Brian said, very, very honored to have you on the show and to know you as well. But something that I wanted to say is, how can someone who has issues with goal setting work through the type of process that you have set in place? I mean, is it something that, do you have to screen the individuals that you work with, or, is it kind of a process that you would be able to take those who are goal challenged and turn that around so that they too can have a gold medal mindset?
Good question.
Okay. Well, I do screen my personal coaching clients, but that's because I want to be selective in who I work with, not because I screen them to decide whether I think they can be successful, but just I generally want positive people in my life. So I believe it's important to bring people into your life who are like-minded and congruent with your future desires. So from that standpoint, I do screen my coaching clients. But part of, I think, the underlying question you're asking is, can anybody develop these strategies and techniques, or is it an ingrown thing that you have to be born with? And it's definitely something you can develop. It's definitely not something that people are born with that make them into champions and successful people. Yes, their upbringing may make them a little more prone towards success because they've had that training from a younger age. But it's certainly skills and strategies and techniques that can be learned through the process. As far as working with me personally, there's contact information on my website, and we can certainly talk. Certainly happy to talk to anybody about prospective coaching. There's also, I'm in the process of developing a gold medal goal setting system, which people would be able to buy and work on their own if they didn't want to invest in one-on-one coaching. So that's also an option, and it is definitely a system that works and is a system that people who have not had much experience, if any, with that in the past would be able to pick up, utilize, and get the benefits from.
I think that's a great option to have, that for someone who may not be able to coach with you personally, to have it so they can do it kind of on their own. And Kathy and I are doing something similar with ours. It's a great option to give people for those that may not be able to take care of the coaching by itself. So there's
I think that sort of thing is very important because it creates the opportunity for me to help and work with many more people than I would ever have the time to work with on a one-on-one basis.
Right.
So it's really about putting that information out there so that other people can benefit from my experience.
And you have a wealth of it, and I think a lot of people can benefit from it. And you've been through some pretty difficult hardships of your own with just because we know you. You've overcome quite a bit, and your story at the opening was enough right there to tell people what kind of stick-to-itiveness and what kind of perseverance you have.
Tenacity.
Yeah, it just that by itself is a huge achievement. So people should get enough out of that alone to realize that you have what it takes. Obviously, look behind you. Look at all that shiny stuff.
Yeah.
By the way, in representation of his gold medals, I wore a round necklace today.
There you go. It's perfect.
Sparkly, but it's round and it's kind of gold.
So, no, that's perfect. Yeah. So, part of what I took from your comments there, Brian, and I totally agree, is part of what defines success. We already mentioned success is getting up more times than you fall down. It's how you face the challenges that come up in life. Everybody faces challenges.
Yes.
Some people have bigger challenges than others, but everybody encounters challenges and obstacles. And then you probably notice, because I know you're very positive people and have a lot of experience in personal development, but you probably noticed I'm using the word challenges and obstacles, not the word problems.
Yes.
And that's another one of those mindset things that
Sure.
I definitely want to share with your viewers. And just choosing to look at something as a challenge instead of a problem changes the subconscious on how your mind approaches addressing that issue. So I address challenges. I don't address problems. But going back to what you said, I was very proud and blessed to have the good fortune to win those first 6 U.S. national medals. But the ones that I'm actually most proud of are the 3 international medals that came after that and the silver medals at the U.S. Nationals, because those came after the huge obstacles and setbacks that I encountered.
Oh, wow.
And I know we talked offline and we don't have time to go into the whole story, but the short version of the story is in 2004, about a month before I was to go to Peru with the U.S. national team to compete. I was training in Florida, and it was the last day of training before I was going to come back home and get ready to go to Peru. And I was working in the distance jumping event. And I was jumping about somewhere on the order of 160 feet. So it's a long flight through the air.
Goodness.
And and something went wrong. I won't go into the whole story because it's pretty technical, but I do know what happened. And as a result, I took a very bad crash and actually shattered my heel bone. Now, for people who may not know a lot about physiology, the heel bone is a very large, solid bone, obviously on your heel, but it's designed to take a huge amount of impact. And so you can imagine if a healthy, athletic person with strong bones were to shatter their heel hitting water, that's a pretty intensive crash. But what came after that was about 12 weeks of being bedridden, which does not go over well for somebody who's used to being active and moving around. And as a result of that, I went through a pretty intense depression period. It was 6 months before I was walking again without crutches. And part of that just came from incredible determination and tenacity, because after that accident, I had one of my surgeons actually tell me I would never walk again. And that was not an acceptable answer. Whatever it was going to take, that was not an acceptable answer. So I went through a tremendous amount of physical therapy. I was spending 20 hours a week in physical therapy.
Wow.
Just at that point, just to get back to where I could walk. I wasn't even, to begin with, thinking about coming back to competing. At that point, I was just grateful to still be alive, and wanted to get my body back as much as possible just so I could live my life with my children. As you know, I now have 3 young children, a 16-month-old baby, an 8-year-old, and an 11-year-old. So at this time, this was almost 7 years ago. So they were like, my boys were 2 and 4.
Wow.
And so I was just envisioning laying in bed, sitting there in my state of depression. I'm never going to be able to do the things my dad did with me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And that wasn't acceptable. And so the goal became get as healthy as I can so that I can share a life of activity with my children at least as much as possible. And so gratefully, with a lot of help from some really good surgeons and physical therapists and chiropractors, I was able to actually get back competing. Had the good fortune in 2006 to make it back and win the silver medal at the U.S. Nationals after that injury, which at that point, that medal actually meant more to me than the gold medals just because of what I had to overcome to do it. So, and then unfortunately I had another severe injury where I dislocated my knee. What had happened was I got back to my technical ability, but I hadn't got back to my physical ability. So at that point, I was then pushing my body harder than I was fit enough to do. And unfortunately, I had a very, very bad knee injury, tore 3 of my knee ligaments, and had to have total knee reconstruction. Not knee replacement, but knee reconstruction. And so likewise, I came back and worked hard. My goal had always been to be on the U.S. team and go to the World Championships. That first injury knocked me out of that. So I came back, worked hard, managed to qualify for the World Championships. So then the bronze medal behind me at the World Championships was the big accomplishment, and just kept training and working hard and had the good fortune to win the silver and the gold back in November. So I feel like I'm starting to get back to where I want to be. I still have a long way to go. I'm still not up to what I consider my peak potential, but I'm on the right path. So
that's
awesome.
That's inspirational enough right there. You're 43 and you're just getting back to your peak potential. That in itself is a story right there. That is great.
That's what I'm going to start saying. That's what I'm going to start using that line.
Yeah.
I like that.
What a fantastic story. I mean, you've been through so much and you've recovered. That you have what it takes, my man, because that fortuity, the tenacity, as you talked about, determination, it takes that in business as well. And there's so many parallels between athletics, anything athletic of nature, and business. And on that note, we all know that certain athletes, even very, very high profile and very, very good athletes, have coaches. I mean, one that comes to the top of my head is Tiger Woods. I mean, forget about all the stuff that's been going on in his life. He is one of the premier golfers in the world and has been for how many years? And he's had coaches along the way. So how important is it, in your opinion, for us to have a coach and mentor and in the business realm, and why?
No, I completely agree. Tiger Woods not only has a coach, but he has multiple coaches. He has a swing coach, he has a fitness coach, he has a nutrition coach. So he has a whole stable of coaches. And likewise, Michael Jordan had a coach. So if the best of the best in sports have coaches, Michael Phelps, they all have multiple coaches working with them. It's amazing how many people think that if those people can need coaches to have the success they're having, why so many entrepreneurs think they can do it alone. And, I've heard the term before, solopreneurs. Yeah. And it's not a very easy way to succeed. I used to think about, partially out of ego when I was younger, I used to think that my success in water skiing was my own doing, because water skiing is an individual sport, more like golf in the sense that it's an individual sport as opposed to a team sport like basketball. But the truth is, I have an entire support team, my training partners, my boat driver, my coaches, my fitness advisors, my nutritionists, my chiropractor. So, in my sport, I have an entire stable of team members that help me succeed. And in my business also, I have multiple mentors that I go to. I have a marketing mentor. I have a speech mentor to help me develop more effective communication. I have mindset mentors that I trained with in learning about the subconscious mind. And I think regardless of what the sport or the business is, if you're an entrepreneur or a small business owner, I think it is crucial to have mentors. Some people have the good fortune that they have great mentors that they can work with without having to hire coaches. But for people that may not have those contacts of where they can get really good, sound advice, I really encourage, whether it's me or someone else, I just really encourage an entrepreneur or a small business person to go out to seminars and look for the mentorship that they need and get that education and find people to coach with. Now, there is one advantage to hiring a coach. Well, there's many advantages, but there's one in particular advantage of hiring a coach over working with a friend or an acquaintance who may have the same knowledge you need. A friend or an acquaintance is going to tend to be reluctant to tell you the things you don't want to hear. Sure. Whereas a hired coach, if you have a good coach, they're going to hold you accountable. And one of the most important things I do with my clients is tell them the things they don't want to hear. Yes, I am their cheerleader and I help them and I encourage them and build them up. But at the same time, you gotta call it like it is and really help them, because that's what they're paying for, is the help. They're not just paying for some rah-rah. So,
excellent point.
Yeah, said very, very well. And Brian and I oftentimes on the show talk about the importance of attending events just for some of what you've just shared in garnering a coach or a mentor. And something that I was thinking about as you were talking too was the extreme accountability factor in all of that, because that's really, really important. And one thing that you just said at the end was that it's hard when you have friends and that kind of thing to do that. Brian and I are fortunate in the relationship that we have, even as business partners, that we're able to do that. I don't know if that's normal. I don't think we're normal, but we do, and it seems to work. And it does. I mean, sometimes it's kind of like, okay, and you feel a little bruised, but it goes away, and it only makes things better. So I appreciate you sharing that. But before we go further, we have somebody on the chat that looks like Dorothy, and she's saying, can anyone at any age improve physically, mentally, and improve their business or life in general by using your principles?
Yes, no, I definitely think that is true. It is unlikely for somebody starting out, in their 50s or 60s who's never done sports that they're going to become a gold medalist at the international level. But people can certainly improve from where they are. It's people often talk about how, and I keep going back to the analogy of sports, which is obviously my brand. So I'll use that because it helps people clearly understand without having to go into the technical specifics of any one business. A lot of people think that athletes are young and they reach their peak in their 20s. And yes, I'm sure I was physically in better shape, stronger, faster when I was in my 20s. But right up until the day I injured my knee or my ankle in 2004, I was skiing at the best I had ever competed. And so 2004, that would have been 34 years old. So at that point, I was at the peak I had ever been at. In certain aspects of my skiing in 2007, even after that first injury, certain aspects of my skiing were stronger and better than they'd ever been. So even in something as physically demanding as my sport, which is a very physically demanding sport, even at a state of being an aging athlete, I am still getting technically superior in my performance. And the same for my mindset. I am still, like you said, I was at this boot camp. This is the 4th time I've attended Craig Deswalt's boot camp. And one of the reasons is because I'm still looking to improve. So I've heard the material, I know the material, but sometimes some of it falls into the back burners or the back file cabinets and you forget it. And rehearing that is one way of remembering, okay, well, I may not have been, the first time I heard it, I may not have been in the place where I was ready to do that. And by continually going back and continuing to educate myself, each time I hear something, I hear the same information in a new way and find different things that, I filled up a list of action items to come out of the event to do. So as far as, continuing to educate, I think at any level people can continue to gain education, and certainly they can improve their mindset and their outlook. My marriage was, I've had the blessing to be married for 13 years so far. And it's just the first 13 years, because it's going to go a long time. And our marriage is stronger now than it's ever been. And a lot of it's got to do with taking that mindset. And as far as business, certainly acquiring new skills, acquiring a better mindset, becoming focused, you can certainly achieve more. There's a book by Tim Ferriss, The 4-Hour Work Week. And I'm not going to go into what the whole book's about, but the essence of it is you can accomplish a lot without necessarily working harder. The idea is to work at the right things. And so if you have the right vision and that will help keep focus, and you have the right goals, you can work on the things that are actually most important, either personal priorities or the most important thing to driving your business to success. And you don't have to work incredibly hard and work on everything. You can delegate the things you don't need to do. You can focus on the things that you are the one who needs to do them and that you do best. And so just by focusing on the most important aspects, whether it's most important to your personal priorities or most important to your success, by focusing on those things, you can often have tremendous success and not work as hard as somebody else might be.
And that's the key, isn't it? With all these coaching programs that many terrific people, including yourself, put together, the key to it all is to help people to avoid making the same mistakes that you have made and get to their goal faster with less turbulence along the way, so to speak.
Yes.
And thank you, and God bless you for being an entrepreneur and putting something like this together. I wanted to backtrack just a little bit. You brought out some very great things about the kind of mentors you deal with. And if you don't mind, I'd like to actually give our viewers a few that Kathy and I have worked with as far as mentors or coaches. And by all means, Forrest, if you want to chime in with people you've worked with that you feel are valuable, do the same. But you talked about a marketing mentor or coach, a speech mentor or coach, and a mindset mentor or coach. And I'm sure there are others, but just with that mindset, we're looking at the guy right now, Forrest Fisher. That's the one you want to take care of. I mean, you've heard what he's gone through. If anybody could show you to develop the proper mindset to overcome virtually any hurdle, Forrest Fisher could do that. So I highly recommend, again, after the show's over, click on that link beneath and check out his coaching programs. As far as marketing goes, Craig Duswalt, there's no equal. You mentioned him a little earlier. We just came back from that weekend. That was our third boot camp with him. CraigDuswalt.com. Go check him out. And speech, Maurice Domino. Forget about it. The Sicilian mentor, right?
Absolutely.
He was incredible. Kathy and I attended his boot camp, and unbelievable value that came out of that. Now, you may have more, Forrest. If you have different ones, by all means, let our viewers know who those valuable assets are.
No, I would second both of those. Craig Deswalt is one of my mentors. I'm in his coaching program to help focus my marketing efforts. Maurice Domino is a dear friend of mine. I'll actually be working at his event, which is April 1st through the 3rd at the Westin LAX. So that's coming up in a couple weeks. So I definitely encourage you to go to mauricedomino.com and sign up for that if you're interested, if you're in any form of speaking, whether it's one-on-one presentations, whether you're in sales, whether you're a motivational speaker, whatever your niche is. And all of us have to communicate. So if you open your mouth and speak, open your mouth and a noise comes out, you want to get to Maurice so you can become a more effective communicator. And like I said, his event's coming up, and I will be there as one of his event coaches, helping people get the most out of the event.
Well, hey, you forgot the third one. That's you.
Mindset.
Yes.
You.
If you are looking for some mindset help, definitely look me up on Facebook. If you're a little reluctant to follow me on Facebook, you'll get to know who I am. And when you're ready, because I know at some point you're going to be ready to make a change in your life, contact me through my website, and I will be happy to work with you and help you get the success you deserve.
You know, something that you had said a few minutes ago when you were talking about coaching and programs, and that you have attended Craig's event 4 times, and you keep picking up things that have perhaps gotten filed away. And it just made me think about something that Craig made a comment to, and when he was on stage, and that was that he had brought back a couple of individuals that he'd had before. And it reminds me almost of like when you go to church and you hear the minister talk about something, and one person gets, you know, one thing out of it and somebody else gets something else. So it doesn't make any difference what the information is and how it's coming. And that's why having somebody like you as a mindset coach is so important, because whatever it is that they're hearing, or maybe they've spent time with somebody else in a mindset environment, you're going to provide something new and fresh, and perhaps some things that they heard before from somebody else, but in a different way and in a different platform that's going to be suited for them right where they're at in their business. So I was thinking about that, so I wanted to bring that up. But in addition to that,
if I can expand on that, and I completely agree with what you said, and people need to hear things differently depending on where they are in their experience. And that's one of the advantages that the people I work with have, is because I've been coaching for for about 25 years. And I've worked with a wide range of people, from young children to much older people, to a wide range of different types of businesses. And one of the things that my coaching clients will tell you, and I have a lot of testimonials up on my website, is that I have the experience and the fortune to be able to phrase things so the lesson being portrayed comes across to the person where they are at the time and they are in that position. So not only is it important to get good coaches, but it's to get good coaches who, not only to get coaches that have the right information, but can convey that information. And I know, Kathy, as part of your business, you also do consulting on social networking and social media, and you are very effective at communicating that. And so, if somebody's looking for a social media coach, Kathy's your person.
Oh, well, thank you.
But part of what makes you effective at that is you know how to communicate what they need. So it's not just one way of saying it. You understand the importance of being able to rephrase it so somebody with different knowledge can still capture the information. And that becomes important, whether it's goal setting, time management, marketing tips, business advice, and those are all areas, accountability, those are all areas that I help my clients with.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that, Forrest. It's very, very sweet.
I like
and the interesting, it is. I do. I appreciate that. I'm just not used to having, woo, here we go. Because it's all about you. It's all about you right now.
Well, actually, let me touch on that too. One of the things that I think is so important about coaches, or getting a coach or a mentor, or even attending seminars and working with people, is we often don't recognize our own strengths. And for example, and I've shared this story with you before, and it just made me think of it when you said that, because you obviously weren't expecting me to tell you that.
No, was not.
I went through a period, I'd already shared that I wanted to help people with the lessons that I had gone through, but I didn't know how I would do that. And not only that, I didn't think what I knew was that valuable.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is that was my life. I was used to it. Every day I did those things, to the extent that it frustrated me when I saw people who couldn't do it. Because at that point in my life, before I studied the personal development aspect of it and studied the subconscious, I thought, why on earth isn't everybody successful? And it was because I didn't see what I was doing as being special. That was normal. And it took a mentor to point out that the traits and characteristics that I had developed are not things that people intrinsically have. And so part of that is we don't see our own strengths, and we also don't see our own weaknesses. And that's why it's so important to have somebody else there to point those out to you. Even once I'd realized I had value and had a message to communicate to people, I'd never thought of the fact that I was the gold medal person. As far as like developing my brand, again, I didn't think that was important or special or unique. And so it took somebody else coming from the outside with a fresh set of eyes and unique perspective to look at me. And, it was instant, and it's probably obvious to you that, I'm the gold medal athlete guy. That's who I am. I'm the coach.
Right.
And that was not intuitive to me because I was too close to the issue. And that's why it's important to get other people's perspective. So.
Great point.
That's a common theme amongst everybody we've met, Kathy and I included, that none of us seem to know what our own worth is when it comes to our past experiences, our inherent God-given abilities and talents that we've refined, and it's amazing. We have a guest coming up in the future that asked that question, and Kathy and I looked at each other. Are you kidding me? You don't know what you bring to the table. You don't know what your value. Oh my gosh! And made it clear what that value was pretty quickly.
And I think that and we all go through that, right? Yeah. It's just kind of a normal process.
Yes.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think we all go through that. And unfortunately, a lot of businesses go through that. We think about ourselves as being different than our business. And a business is almost a life of itself. The business, the people running the business, the management structure, whether it's a small business and it's just one or two people, or whether it's a big corporation that has CFOs and CEOs and COOs, and that collective mindset needs to be able to understand the value of a business and the direction a business can go in order to provide the most value to their clients. And I think that's an important issue that people lose sight of, what the value of their business is as well as what their own personal value is. And I don't mean the financial value.
Right,
I mean the value into what that business can bring to the table to make the world a better place.
Very, very well stated. I wanted to say this. We had, we kind of put some things together and had some bulleted points, and so that we made sure that we wanted to cover a lot with you. I kind of get the sense that we're probably going to have you come back on, because there's just more cool stuff inside you to share. I can just feel it. But we had somebody by the name of JC ask how you're going to work the weight loss program that you have some information on your site. So what I'm going to suggest is that, and I'm sorry, I don't know if it's he or she, but if you will, as Brian had alluded to earlier, go to his picture and click on his nose, connect with him at Facebook, or click on the banner that Brian's provided down below so that you can connect with him there as well. The reason that we can't visit that at the moment, and the reason we're going to have you back on, is because we have gone through an entire hour already.
Whoosh.
Doesn't seem like it. I feel like we just sat down and started talking to you, and I'm sure that the people that are watching feel the same way. But I just want to tell you, for me, I am just so honored, I know Brian is as well, that we had the opportunity to connect with you a year ago, to get to know you and Rhonda as well as we have. And we look forward to having you back on. And my friend, thank you so much. And I'm going to pass it back to Brian.
I hate when you do that because you leave me nothing.
I don't?
No, I love it.
Well, you can blow him a kiss too.
Yeah. Well, what happens on the Celebrity Creator Show stays on the Celebrity Creator Show. No, but
you're kidding? You guys are so big it goes out worldwide and everybody sees it.
But I would like to echo every one of her sentiments, and that's all I get to do all the time because she so completely fulfills it on. And thank you, because I don't have to work as hard, Kathy. I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah, right.
But in all seriousness,
so I would certainly like to come back and encourage people to connect with me both on Facebook and through my website, forrestfisher.com. and I've really enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun, and I'd certainly like to come back anytime.
And we definitely want to have you back. We appreciate you for everything you're doing. Keep up the faith. Keep on recouping and recovering and getting more technically sound, both in your athletic life and in your business life, because you are a true, definite positive to those around you that come in touch with you. Definitely hook up with them on Facebook and click beneath. But that's all we have time for tonight. We've got another show coming up next week. Be sure to tune into that.
Going to be awesome.
For now, we're going to have to sign off and say sayonara. So we'll see you all again next week. Bye-bye now.
Here's to your gold medal success.